Yeah, let's talk about, your youth growing up. How did you get into football? Who was your first team? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think the same as everyone really. I started playing when I was maybe like 3 or 4, just like kicking a ball down the park with my dad and stuff like that. And then it wasn't until I was about 6 or 7 that I just joined like a local team, like playing with like schoolmates and stuff like that. And then played for them for about 2 years, and then from there joined the Villa Academy from 8 until 16, I think. Left or got released just before they made decisions on like scholars and that. So yeah, I played local football for 2 years, and then I was at Villa for maybe 9 years.
How was that at Villa? You see lots of talented players. I remember growing up and playing against a super team. They had Grealish, Dan Crowley, Jordan Graham, Callum Robinson,
Callum Robinson, yeah.
players like that. Yeah, how was that growing up playing for Villa, and then also, being around technical players? What were the coaches like? How did you guys get so good as an academy with not a big budget?
I think yeah, exactly. I think obviously going into an academy, you're playing with better players. And I think the philosophy like stays the same through all the age groups, even up to 23s or first team. In terms of like they want to, play with the ball and try and play the right way, if you want to say that. So I think that was a big thing for me. Obviously, being a small like kind of technical midfielder, I think that's where I learned most of my skills and stuff like that was obviously playing with them and training with them 2 and 3 times a week. And obviously playing against other academies as well. So you're constantly playing against, good and better players than yourself. So yeah, it was definitely a good experience playing for them for as long as I did.
Yeah, and then afterwards you went to Southampton afterwards.
Yeah. So it was like Southampton's kind of development thing. So it wasn't like their full academy. So I went there. That was meant to be for 2 years. And then I was going to study. Well, I was studying at college, like alongside that. But then basically they cut that program short after a year because they weren't like generating enough players from that program into their main academy. So they didn't kind of see, a reason to keep it going because it was obviously costing them money and stuff. So left there after a year, and then did my second year scholar with Yeovil in League Two. And that's when I started to play senior and professionally.
Yeah, talk to me about, going from Villa, great academy, to Southampton, that development system. Maybe you're not playing with as good players, and then going to Yeovil, League Two, you're probably now training with grown men and all the rest of it. What are the major differences that you find going from that level to that level?
Yeah, I think like obviously academy football and stuff, you're playing against, kids your own age and stuff like that. And I think to a certain point, it's all about like development and trying to nurture players into like getting them ready to play for the first team. But I think dropping down to League Two at 17, 18 is just like a culture shock, really, because obviously you go into a first team environment and then it's all about winning. Like they're not really too focused, especially without an under 23s or reserves. They're not too focused on, they haven't got time to develop players and stuff like that, because obviously we were kind of in a relegation scrap at the time. So all the manager cared about was putting a team together and winning games. So I think that was one of the biggest things. And then also like the intensity of the training, going from training with kids your own age to training with, players that have, been around the pro game a long time. So yeah, I think them two things were definitely like the two things that stood out kind of right from the start.
Yeah, makes sense. Talk to me about making your professional debut there. How was that? And what kind of feelings did you have, making that step that you always dream of as a kid?
Yeah, I think well, it's kind of at the time, the first team had, I think, 7 or 8 first team players out injured. And then the manager at the time, I was obviously training with the youth team and stuff. And then he called me up to train with the first team for the first time. I think it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And then trained with them, two sessions. And then he started me in the game on Saturday against Crawley. I think at the time, pretty sure the record's been broken now, but I think at the time, it was the youngest player to play for Yeovil in the Football League. I didn't know that obviously until after the game, but I think even just leading up to the game, something that you obviously always dream about as a kid, you know, making your pro debut. It doesn't obviously matter what level it is, but just to say that you've maybe played professionally, you know, no one can take that away from you. So yeah, it was certainly a good day. Obviously, we won the game as well, which is always a better feeling.
It's crazy. We've had on this channel already 3 people who've been in the exact same position as you, yourself, who made their debut as the youngest player for their club. So
oh yeah,
you're the 4th. I don't know how. Everybody keeps coming on here saying
youngest,
that, yeah, the youngest. That's a crazy record to have, and that does show that, you know, you have the talent, and it's a reason why people to this day are still believing in you, because
you
know, that's no small thing, you know, getting called up to play with grown men as a kid, and, you know, proving that you can do, you know, a similar job to what they can do. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Going on loan, how did you find your loans? And, you know, that is different going to Yeovil in the first place, but then going to clubs lower than Yeovil with guys who maybe football's not their number one thing on their mind. They're playing to just pay mortgages and all the rest of it. How is that, playing with players like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think like it wasn't until I went on loan that I really like understood like the actual football pyramid in England, because obviously you probably know yourself, being from the UK as well. Obviously you got League Two, National League, and then below that it just keeps going and going. And, you know, like you said, people are just playing for the, you know, the extra money each week to pay their mortgage, or, you know, do whatever they need to do. But I think like at the time I wasn't playing obviously with the first team at Yeovil. It's kind of training all week and then either sitting on the bench at the weekend or like not even making the squad. So I thought like there's no point kind of training 5 days a week and then not playing a game on the weekend. So I just said to the manager, like, is there any chance that you could send me out for a month or 3 months just to get like games every Saturday? So yeah, it was definitely like a shock in terms of the standard, and the players you play with and against. But, you know, it was obviously an experience that obviously I think helped me like moving forward, because I needed games at that time, and luckily they were able to provide that. So
sometimes people I've spoken to say that going on loan is sometimes a mistake and they wish they never did it. Sometimes it goes the other way and people say that it was probably the biggest blessing they had and it grew them as a person. What do you think it was in relation to you at the time? Do you think if you stayed and, you know, waited for your time to come, do you think maybe, you know, you could have stamped your place in the team, or do you think you actually needed to go out alone during those times?
no, I think to be honest, I definitely needed to go on loan. This was after the manager that obviously I think brought me into the first team at the time, he obviously got sacked and stuff like that. So a new manager came in. So you won't get too much into that, but obviously, you know, football, how it can be sometimes. So I think at that stage, and, you know, where I was at and where the team was at and where the manager was at, I think going on loan was definitely the best option for me. So yeah, I don't regret it, and I think it has helped me. You know, maybe just a little bit.
Fair enough. Yeah, you know, you're playing now, you know, you're seeing the different things that goes on in football. What was the thing that stuck out to you that you knew, you know, you were in non-league now and you knew that it is what it is type of thing?
Yeah, I think there could be a few, to be fair. I think just around about December, January time when the pitches start getting cut up and the ball, the ball's not bouncing, it's just getting stuck in the mud and that sort of stuff. But that's football in England, to be honest. So I think that was obviously one of the main things, that some of the pitches you play on, and then also the style of play that kind of goes on in non-league. It's all like, a lot of it is kind of long ball and then try and play off the seconds and stuff like that. But that's what you need to do to try and get results. So it didn't actually surprise me that much, because I was half expecting it. But yeah, you just kind of get on with it, don't you?
During this time playing, how did the Northern Ireland call up come up? Were you expecting it? And what kind of experience was that, like being with your heritage country?
Yeah. So I think it was halfway through my second year with Yeovil, I think. Can't really remember too much, but I think it was my second. So it was my first full year as a pro. And they contacted me because they found out my eligibility through my mom, because obviously she's from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So I hold an English and Irish passport. And yeah, they invited me to a training camp. I think it was like a week long, if I can remember. It was in Lillishore, the old England. Yeah. We trained there and then played a game at the end of the week against Stokes 23s. And then that was kind of just a camp to get everyone together and for the manager to have a look at, the players that have been around, that system a while, and obviously the new boys that were coming in, me being one of them. So yeah, I kind of went to that and then played the game, and then he called me a couple weeks after, and then yeah, he just kind of said that I was in the squad for the Euro. I think it was the Euro qualifiers, just before the elite rounds. I think that's how it used to work. You used to try and get through that, and then you would go to the elite rounds, and then from the elite rounds, if you get through, you obviously make the competition. But yeah, it was good as well. Obviously, I hadn't played internationally before, so even the type of international football was different, and a new experience.
Who did you guys play against, and how long did you play for?
We played. So in our group, we had Slovakia, Macedonia, and Poland, and this was at under 19s. So it was in Poland. So I didn't play the Poland game or the Macedonia game, but I started the Slovakia game. I think I played like 70 minutes, 75. I can't remember exactly how long. But yeah, I think we lost 1-0 to an own goal, and then beat Macedonia, and then lost to Poland. So yeah, ultimately didn't end up qualifying. But yeah, it was obviously a new experience as well, playing against different countries.
Who was the best player that you played with there, and who's the player right now in that squad, maybe, or Northern Irish player who everyone should watch out for?
Best player from that squad, I would say there's probably two. There's the goalie, Connor Hazard. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's still at Celtic, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's still there. And then the striker, Shane Lowry or Shane Lavery, I think he's at Blackpool. He came from the Irish League, I think. I think at the time he was at Everton in their academy, or their 23s, and then went back to Ireland, and now he's back in England. So I'd say them two are the two that have probably like gone on to bigger things since then.
Yeah.
For more content like this, like, share, and subscribe.